Afternoon. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. As we're going to allow some time for everyone to come in, just a couple of seconds. Thank you so much for joining us. The numbers are really jumping up, so give us a few seconds and we'll get started. Thank you so much for joining. Good morning, everyone. We are just waiting for the numbers to steady. We might be at that point. Thank you so much for joining us. Just going to give it a couple of seconds while everyone comes in. All right. Good morning, everyone. I know several of you are going to continue coming into the room. Let me go ahead and get started. We have an incredible presentation for you this morning, tons of information. So I'm going to get my spiel out the way so that you guys can get to the really good stuff. Good morning to you. My name is Lauren Simpson. I am with the SBDC, or the Small Business Development Center. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and give you a deeper dive into what it is that we as an SBDC does, and then kick it over to our partners so that we can jump into the full presentation. 1 second for me. Oops. Can I get a thumbs up if everyone can see my screen okay? Thank you. See, I have a really great team, huh? So good morning again. My name is Lauren Simpson. I am with the SBDC, or the Small Business Development Center. We're a national program with over 1,000 locations across the country, and we offer no-cost services to local small businesses. Now, our services are at no cost to you because your tax dollars have already taken care of our fees. Now, for the Los Angeles network, we have physical centers, and you can see those on the map in front of you. You'll see that we're as far out as Camarillo and Santa Clarita, over to Pasadena, all the way over to Laverne, throughout Los Angeles, the South Bay, down into Long Beach. Now, I just want to remind you, all of those centers are located within our service area. That service area is the Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties. Now, here's a deeper dive into what it is that we do and why you want to get in contact with us. We offer no-cost business advising, and so you're able to sit one-on-one via Zoom or a phone call, whatever you prefer, with one of our business experts. And we have experts ranging in the arenas of marketing, in tax advising. If you are just starting out and you're looking to create a business plan, we have experts for you. And then if you're in, let's say you're a handyman and you're looking to go into construction, we have someone specifically for you with that as well. And you're very lucky because today we have those who can assist you with gaining access to capital. We also offer virtual trainings, very similar to the training that you joined today. It's a comprehensive workshop that assists you in beginning, adapting, and growing. So please be sure to get in contact with us today. We'd love to help you get started. We'd love to work with you. For the Los Angeles area, please call 866-588-7232. Or you can go to smallbizla.org/new client. Now, if you've reached us and you're outside of our service area, so you are outside of Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, or Ventura counties, please go to americassbdc.org/find-your-SBDC. With that, quick housekeeping. Let's be sure to put all questions into the Q&A, please, questions in the Q&A, and then the chat will be reserved for any links and useful information that our presenters would like to share with you. With that, let's get started with today's presentation. Thanks again for joining us, and I would love to introduce you to Supervisor Juan Gonzalez.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Juan Gonzalez, and on behalf of the City of Glendale, I would like to welcome you to the first event of our Small Business Summit Week. The City of Glendale is committed to supporting and, more importantly, growing our business community, and as such have crafted a week filled with webinars, in-person meetings designed to help you grow your business. This week culminates in our first ever Small Business Summit this Thursday, May 18th at the Embassy Suites from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. For more information about all these exciting events, please visit our website at chooseglendaleca.com. I would also like to thank our partners in this webinar, the Los Angeles SBDC Network and the U.S. Small Business Administration, for helping you grow your business. Together, we can grow a healthier, safer business community. Let's go, Glendale. Thank you, everyone.
And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Kenneth Crawford with the SBA.
Thank you, Lauren. And thank you, Juan, and the city of Glendale for hosting this great event. I am Kenneth Crawford, and I work as an economic development specialist here out of the Los Angeles District Office. Here, I've been some 27 years now with the Los Angeles District Office. And here, SBA was born in 1953 to level the playing field so folks that were coming back from the war could have opportunities to start, grow, and expand a business, because there were so many people coming back and there were so few jobs to fill. So this way, they could create companies and create positions for men and women coming back from the war. But now, one thing about SBA, we are not a direct lender. The only time that SBA becomes a direct lender is in the time of a disaster, as we had here previously with the pandemic. We put in a great number of grants and loan programs to help small businesses continue to thrive and move forward. Now, the Los Angeles District Office, we are a tri-county district office, meaning that we cover all of Los Angeles, Ventura, and Santa Barbara counties. And due to the fact that we are a tri-county office with so few personnel, we have resource partners, like our Small Business Development Center that Lauren just finished talking about. We have 9 of those. We have 4 women's business centers, 1 in Santa Barbara, 1 in Ventura, 1 in the Valley, and we have PACE and Little Tokyo Service Center downtown. Now, Women's Economic Ventures are in Santa Barbara, and they cover Santa Barbara and Ventura County. But through these 2 small business development centers, our Women's Business Center, and SCORE, we are able to go forward with the program and services of SBA. And all of their services are free. SCORE is a group of retired, sometime still active employers who are, I should say, entrepreneurs, who are donating their time to give a day back to help one start, expand, or grow their business. Some are ex-bankers, some are ex-contractors. But these entrepreneurs are giving you the opportunity to tap into that network to get the services that you need to grow and expand your business. Now, SBA, like I said, is not a direct lender. We have a network of some 120 or more lenders that we depend upon to provide funding. And what we do, we act as a guarantor for the lenders. Loans up to 150,000, SBA will guarantee that bank's loan 85%. Loans over 150,000 out to 5 million, SBA will guarantee that bank's loan 75%. So what we do, we just reduce the exposure a bank would take in making your loan. Now, we have some great programs. We have the microloan program, the Community Advantage loan program and our 504 loan program. Our micro loan program caps out at $50,000. Our community advantage loan program through the Biden-Harrison administration has just been revamped, and now it caps out at $350,000. And our 504 loan program for those experienced entrepreneurs who've been in business at least 3 years or more, you can come to the table with as little as 10% of your overall cost. Now, this is an owner-occupied type commercial real estate. You can buy real estate or heavy-duty equipment, and you can come to the table with as little as 10% of the overall cost. SBA will put up 40% of that funding through our CDC, and they will find a lender to bring in the other 50. And that way it can be amortized over a 25-year period, and you can move forward. We also act as advocates on Capitol Hill for our small business lending group. We act as advocates. So we act as the independent voice for small businesses within the federal government. We handle proposed regulation. Some regulation need to be increased and some regulation need to be decreased, because for small business owners, there's always been a lot of red tape for them to go through. And here, our ombudsman can act and deregulate and moving some of that red tape aside, so you can have an successful attempt and moving forward, doing what you need to do. And these are some of the things that we do with our small business development centers and our women business centers and SCORE. They can help you start your business with your business plan, market research, social media platforms, hiring employees. All of these things can be done through our SBDCs and our women's business center. But now I'm going to step aside and allow our other two panelists to come in and tell you more about access to capital. Access to capital. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Crawford. And now I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share. Again, thank you all of you for joining us. We've got a pretty incredible presentation for you. I want to introduce Mr. Sasha Globa as well as Nate Jemison. Sasha, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Lauren. I'm going to just pull up the presentation and everyone can see that. Terrific. So good morning, everyone. My name is Sasha Globa, and I am a business advisor with the Small Business Development Center Network. I am actually part of what is known as the Access to Capital team, and we'll talk a little bit about what that means. I'll also be joined by Nate Jemison, who is our team leader and a very experienced banker and underwriter. And so really what we're hoping to do this morning is, in a fairly short amount of time, give you a little bit of an inside perspective as far as the sort of ecosystem of loan programs and lenders, and maybe give you some perspective in terms of where you might want to start the process and how the Small Business Development Center can assist you. So I'm going to start with, first of all, just wanted to thank the City of Glendale and Supervisor Gonzalez for sponsoring this event and for allowing us to join all of you this morning. I think it's really important and valuable that we all work together. The LA District Office, Ken Crawford, has been a terrific partner and really, as Ken, I think, alluded to, resource partners. It's really about working together as a group to assist our small businesses. So with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about what does the SBDC do. We're going to talk about what kinds of loan programs are available. And Ken started to provide sort of a quick overview of those programs that exist. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about that. And then really the question becomes, what are the requirements for these programs? And you'll see that they're very, very different programs. And so the requirements vary from program to program and lender to lender. However, there's sort of a common theme, and that's the part that Nate will take you through. And then really the question becomes, given my situation, which kind of lender and loan program is right for me? So we're going to talk about that. Just very quickly, I won't rehash. Lauren did a very nice introduction to the SBDC network. Again, we provide services at no cost, and the SBDC provides services in a variety of business areas. Marketing, export, all sorts of different operational areas. And then, of course, access to capital, which is really one of the prime directives of the SBDC network. And we work with a very, very wide range of businesses. So we work with startups, folks who are thinking about starting a business, folks who have just started and are in the process of figuring out how to get to the next level. But then also mature businesses who are in a growth mode and looking to make some more significant investments to support their growth. And the way we do this is we work through the individual centers that are located across the region. And Lauren had shared the information with you. These are the actual addresses. And I just highlighted the one that is closest to Glendale, which is being hosted at Pasadena City College. It's a great center. Definitely encourage you to reach out to the team there. And then within that, we also support the entire region at the what's called the lead center level, which sort of coordinates the activities for the different individual centers. And that is where the access to capital team resides. So we are a team of financial specialists, and we coordinate and support the individual centers, and in particular, borrowers and small businesses looking for capital. There's a quick map there. So let's talk a little bit more in terms of what types of programs exist. And I think that for many, many people, I think when they think of a business loan, they think of a bank. And they think of, sort of a traditional or what's known as a conventional loan. And banks are absolutely, of course, a very, very key vehicle for delivering capital. However, there are programs that are ones where the banks participate, but then there are other entities that participate as well. And I think Ken started to outline some of those programs, and maybe I can kind of take a little different twist on it, which is to sort of highlight the way SBA strategically looks at the various programs that it supports. And it's sort of what's known as a ladder concept. So the idea is that there's a loan program that is available for a business at each stage of its growth. So starting at the very sort of earliest stage, we have what are called microloans, which are typically up to $50,000. And very oftentimes these are oriented around startup businesses who otherwise are not mature enough, don't have enough sort of financial history to be eligible for a conventional loan. And then from micro loans, so the next level up in the ladder, so to speak, is what's known as the Community Advantage 7A program. And this is generally from $50,000 to $350,000. The Community Advantage program is offered by mission-based lenders, so nonprofit lenders. And we'll talk about those in a second. And so we have basically the Community Advantage program up to $350,000. And then from there on, we have what's called the traditional 7A program, which is basically primarily offered by banks, and the bank is actually making the loan, as Ken was indicating, and in return, SBA is providing a guarantee for a portion of that loan. So what that does is that enables that lender, that bank or other SBA 7A lender to make a loan that they otherwise might be hesitant to make. And the SBA 7A program is really kind of a general purpose program like Community Advantage. It can be used for things like working capital, equipment purchases, business acquisition, etc. So we have the 7A program, which is kind of a general purpose program, and it's now kind of orienting around businesses that have been in business for a period of time. And then beyond that is another flagship program that is part of the SBA family of loan programs called the SBA 504 loan program. And this is a very unique program that is very much oriented around businesses that have been operating for some number of years. They have a track record, they can demonstrate cash flow, et cetera. And they are very oftentimes in an expansion mode. So they're looking for a way to secure a facility, particularly commercial real estate, industrial real estate. They may be moving from a situation where they've been leasing for a number of years, and now they have an opportunity, the owner has an opportunity to buy that property or buy a different property as they expand. And that's a very unique program. We can provide projects that really there's no limit. There's a $5 million and a $5.5 million limit for the SBA portion of the financing, but then there's also a private lender that participates with no limit. So we can do projects that are 15 million, 20 million, again, for owner occupied commercial real estate equipment and improvements to that facility. So that's sort of our general ladder of SBA sponsored supported loan programs, starting from the very early stage going up to the more mature stage. And within that sort of ecosystem, we have other types of programs, other lenders involved. And let's take a look at just who those lenders are and who you might want to be in touch with. So of course, banks do the vast majority of lending, and they participate in the SBA loan programs, such as the SBA 7A program and the SBA 504 loan program. Credit unions, you know, if you have thought about getting a business loan, you talk to your bank, which we always recommend as a starting point, especially if you have a relationship with a particular bank and or branch. Credit unions are another potential source. They also participate in the 7A, SBA 7A program, and they have other loan programs as well. And then there are other sort of what we call non-depository lenders, SBLCs, those are small business lending corporations. See, these are non-bank lenders that also offer programs like the SBA 7A loan program. And then within sort of that ecosystem, sort of a little further out, are what are called mission-based lenders, most of which are nonprofit lenders. And really the role that they play in all of this is to really fill gaps where there may be a business that has a particular situation, maybe a history, maybe a bankruptcy in the past. And so they may not be eligible for a traditional conventional loan or even a bank SBA 7A loan. However, we know that there are many worthy businesses out there that we want to support. And so the mission-based lenders are really there providing lending and capital to those situations where we have a business that is underserved. And they actually have goals to provide lending to those underserved segments, which include startup businesses, which often get excluded from traditional bank financing, woman-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses. And so that's really the role that the mission-based lenders play. So I'm going to introduce Nate Jemison now to talk a little bit about what do the lenders actually look for. And Nate, as I mentioned, is our team leader for the Access to Capital team for the LEAD Center. And he is also a very experienced banker and underwriter. So Nate's going to be able to provide you sort of an inside perspective from a lender's perspective and and provide you some advice as far as how you can best prepare for the lending process. Nate, we'll let you take it from here.
Thank you, Sasha, for the introduction. Juan, I want to thank you again for letting us participate in this training series. I'm sure, and I hope that all you guys out there can benefit from some of the information you're getting today. We're going to have a Q&A at the end of this session and everything. So we'll definitely be prepared to answer some of your questions. So Sasha just went over, gave a good presentation on the types of lenders that are out there, what lender might be the right one for you. I can guarantee you all the lenders are going to be looking for the 5 C's of credit. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of it before, but the 5 C's of credit are your credit score. Although it might not be the ultimate determinant for your ability to get credit, that's something you need to be aware of, not to be afraid of. Because that's something you'd want to really address before you approach a lender, because you'd want to know if there's some blemishes in your credit, like if you have a bankruptcy or something like that. Those kind of questions are going to be asked by the lender for you to address. So you need to know what's in your credit record. But also credit score means if you have an existing business and you have a business credit profile like through Dun & Bradstreet or some other credit reporting agency, including Experian, they'll probably pull that too. Okay, but that's mostly for a business that's been around and has an established credit profile. Collateral support. Most lenders want to know that there's a secondary source of repayment if you fail to manage the first source of repayment, which is the next item, cash flow. Cash flow basically is your income plus any add backs that might include like depreciation or other adjustments that you might make for tax reporting purposes. But cash flow is king. That's the primary source of repayment. The lender wants to know how they're going to get repaid. So if you've got a history of reporting losses, you better be clear on why those losses occurred and be able to demonstrate how that situation might turn around, because that can impact your ability to get credit. Again, the secondary source of repayment is collateral. So they're going to want to make sure that the business has not necessarily sufficient collateral on hand, but then if it's a weakness, they might look for you to personally guarantee an obligation. Like most conventional loans, they're going to probably ask for a personal guarantee, especially if it's a startup. Anytime you're going to start a business, you're going to be asked to personally guarantee the obligation. And that kind of goes into the character part. The character of the industry itself, what's going on with it, like restaurants kind of suffered, hospitality suffered during COVID-19. But if you've got a strategy to turn things around or sustain your business, you definitely want to have a business plan. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But the character of the industry is important, and the character of the individual. If the individual has a bad credit score, that means they're not handling their responsibilities adequately enough, and the lender is probably going to be reluctant to make a loan to you. So it's a reflection of your character, how you carry yourself. Also included in character is your business experience, how it might relate to what it is you're trying to do with the funds or the business, run the business in general itself. If it's a startup, especially, they really look at that. So they look at your resume. They might want your resume and things like that. Personal cash injection. Yeah. Everybody should be prepared to put at least 10% down for some like nonprofit entities. 20% down is kind of the standard. Of course, whatever it is your project is that you're looking to finance, for example, if you're looking to buy a large piece of equipment that might cost $100,000, 20% equity into that acquisition, to where the bank is only going to be financing $80,000 or possibly 10% down. Now, if you've got an existing business that you've been operating for some time, you got good cash flow, good credit, and all those things, some lenders might not want any cash injection into your project. But you have to have a pretty solid credit, collateral, and cash flow support to kind of get away with not putting anything in. So you have to be prepared to have a personal cash injection to help support the funding that you're looking to get for your business, whether it be definitely startups. You have to have 20% down in most cases. Some lenders might want 40% down. It just depends on the character and what's going on in that industry. For example, if you're going to be opening up a restaurant and say for $500,000 and over $300,000 in leasehold improvements are needed to start the restaurant, they're probably going to ask for a lot more than 20% down, because a substantial amount of the loan that you might be seeking is going to be used for leasehold improvements. And leasehold improvements really have no value. They can't go in there and tear up if you don't pay the loan, they're not going to go in and remove walls and all those kind of things. So they're going to be looking for more of an equity injection. Okay. Next slide. So what do you need to get a business loan? Excuse me. The requirements for a business loan, and all lenders eventually will probably want to review this kind of documentation, not as detailed in some cases, but at least you're going to need the personal financial statement. A personal financial statement kind of shows the lender what type of assets you own. Like, you know, sometimes they might need you to, if they need you to guarantee the loan, they're going to want to see if you own any real estate. So I always encourage people to complete your personal financial statement completely, include all your assets that you own, because that they do look at your net worth, that is your assets minus your liabilities, to make a determination if you can satisfy all your debt obligations that might be listed there, and based on some asset liquidation. They'll look to see, okay, if he's got IRA accounts or retirement, things like that. So it strengthens your case. The personal financial statement, the stronger about your personal financial statement is. A resume, I talked about that just a minute ago, relative to your character, making sure you have like related experience or where they might designate some kind of weakness in your resume as a relative to the business that you're starting. So having that resume is updated is a good thing to have. A business plan, in most cases, a business plan is required for an expansion project. Definitely in all cases, if you're thinking about starting a business, they kind of want to get an idea of what, if you thought through everything. And I want to talk about the business plan a little bit more too. Personal credit report, we talked about that. They kind of want to give, that gives them an idea of where you are relative to how you're managing your credit. So again, a lot of people are reluctant to order a credit report because they're kind of afraid sometimes. But I encourage you to always know where you are with regard to your credit. And anytime you order your credit report, you do it as an individual, there's no inquiry. So you really want to go ahead and try to order a credit report. And we can kind of give you some websites and things like that to help you do that. We can get them for free. Income tax returns, that's the first look that they have to determine your cash flow. So if you got a personal, your tax return for your personal, and your corporate or business tax return, some of you are maybe individuals, so you might have a Schedule C, which will be part of your personal tax return. That's fine. But those of you who have corporations and file separate tax returns, you want to make sure you have those. And you want to be able to identify, you know, like I said earlier, during tax time, sometimes your accounts are, you know, they really want you to kind of minimize your tax liability. So you might take on certain expenses to lower your income, to lower your tax burden. Just be aware of that. If you're going to go in for a bank loan, the bank likes to see profits that could really repay the loan. So you need to be able to identify like any extraordinary adjustments you might make for tax purposes. So sometimes people prepare two sets of books, one for the accountants and one for like their financial management, that they can show the bank, like, you know, that the bank could do a comparison on. Okay, they maybe taking more depreciation expense, so they want to lower their income to lower their taxes. So having that kind of information is really, those tools really available are very, you have to have it. You have to have it. They're going to want to ask for it. And I'll say the final thing I'll say on tax returns, you want to make sure you give them the complete tax return. Don't give them bits and pieces, because that only delays the process. And some lenders will just reject you because you're not cooperating, or, you know, you don't understand. So give them the complete copy of your personal and corporate tax returns. Financial statements, normally that's going to be required during any year. Like right now, we're in what, May? So they would hope that you would have an interim financial statement for 2023 if you're in business. So anything, probably a stale financial statement might be like 90 days old. So if you got a financial statement from February, March, or April, you know, that would be great. And when I say financial statement, I'm talking about both the income statement and the balance sheet. Don't worry about the cash flow as much. But if you do a cash flow statement, that's great. If you use like some kind of software program, they might generate a cash flow for you automatically. Those are things we could talk about a little later. Next slide, please. So the key element for a business plan, this is kind of really important, because it is the first, elements that they want to check out, especially if you got to start a business. Or if you're looking to expand your business, you might be thinking about adding a second location. You kind of want to have a business plan, okay? So it provides a roadmap for you and your business. And I always tell people about a business plan. prepare a business plan at the beginning stage of your business or whatever stage you are, even for expansion. And then, after a year, because you're going to include the projections, financial projections and things like that in your business plan. Look back at that business plan maybe a year later to see where you are relative to what you thought you might do. And you might be surprised. You might be exceeding your goals. Okay. So it is about your goals and your objectives. And so it tells the story of your business. But some key sections are the executive summary, which is essentially a summary of the business plan, the entire business plan. So what you want to do before you do executive summary, you want to do the market analysis, your management, and all those other things that's incorporated in the business plan, market analysis, marketing strategy, and financial projections, and then do your executive summary last, okay? Just to summarize the business plan, because I can tell you as a lender, the last thing a lender wants to do is go through all the details of the business plan. They really want to see those projections. They want to see the numbers. How am I going to get repaid? And then they'll go back and say, okay, let me look at this marketing strategy. Does that make sense? So when you do your financial projections, we're going to get to that in a second as well, next page, but just make sure you do the executive summary last. They'll read the executive summary, give them a quick summary of the business, and then they want to go to the numbers. And business plans probably shouldn't be any more than 12 to 20 pages, okay, with the attachments, meaning the financial projections. So let's go to the next slide. So financial projections. This is very critical to have financial projections, especially everybody coming out of post-COVID-19. Some people have succeeded during COVID-19, taking advantage of opportunities to grow their business in 2021 and up through 2022. Some people's business have really died. So, and taking on a lot of debt. So the first thing I want you to know is it should be part of a business plan. How are you going to grow out of this dilemma or this sluggish period that we've all kind of been experiencing? But the main thing is you got to really justify your numbers. I always tell people, what's the best case scenario? How much would you really like to make? Then you really need to think about what's the worst case scenario. You'll probably come somewhere in the middle eventually, but what the business plan, the financial projections, do they translate your initiatives into actions and predicted financial results. And you need to really think about that. You need to justify, like if you've got a restaurant, how many tables you have, what's your average pricing, what's the turnover per hour, to come up with revenue numbers, okay? And cost and expense numbers. Assumptions need to be well documented and reasonable. And focus on the how. And focusing on the how is, how are you going to get to that $10,000 a month level? What does that mean on a per day basis, maybe on a weekly basis? You have to have some idea, because the one thing you want to do, if you give a lender a financial projection and you don't know how you got those numbers, you're not going to get the loan. It's going to be very challenging. So just be aware that you can justify your assumptions. So that's what the SBDC is here for. We help people go through this process of getting their documentation together and help them develop their financial plans and projections and assumptions. And again, it's all at no cost. So we can help you prepare a set of financial projections if necessary. Next slide. So we still have the requirements for a loan. So again, the business plan with financial projections is very important. The other thing we talked about earlier, as well as the 5 C's, is the collateral. Those kind of things will all be included as part of the business plan. Now, what won't be is like the legal documents, right? You have to be a legal operating entity to get a business loan. So you're going to need to have your business license. They will request this information. If it's a corporation, articles of incorporation, fictitious name statement for your sole proprietor. They do probably want to look at a copy of your franchise agreement if you're going to be, or if you operate a franchise, and a commercial lease, very important. Most banks are not going to give you a loan, or banks or lenders, I should say. They're going to want the lease term to be at least as long as long term. So if you've got a 5-year loan, you've got to have at least a 5-year commercial lease. So those of you who might have month-to-month leases out there, just be aware of that, okay? Now, it could be, you can have an option to extend the lease, like say for another 5 years. So that might qualify you for a 10-year loan term. If you can get a 10-year long term with five-year original lease term, plus the option to renew it 5 years, you could qualify for a 10-year loan term, even though you might not stay at that location for 10 years. but at least you have an option to renew, and you can demonstrate your ability at that time. The first option or the first lease term expires. If you decide you need to leave, well, you might have to pay the loan, but that could be a negotiated item there. Because normally they could refinance you to a new location if you have to leave and things like that. The main thing that you need to really be aware of, though, is the last point here. The purpose of the loan and the use of the loan proceeds. You need to have a clear idea how you're going to use the money. We run into people a lot of times who ask for a loan and they just want a line of credit. And they'll say, oh, it's for working capital. And they can't really explain to you, well, how if I gave you $100,000 today, what would you spend it on? Well, I'm going to hire some people. Well, then I might buy inventory. There's a lot of different things. Now that would be great if you told me, Nate, I'm going to use I'm going to allocate $30,000 towards salary. I'm going to allocate $30,000 for inventory because I want to grow business. I want to grow my revenue. I need $15,000 for like some more advertising. In other words, have an idea how you're going to use the money. Don't just ask for like a line of credit and okay, I need for working capital. Working capital is great, but working capital covers a lot of things. So what things are you going to really want to use that money for? Now, that doesn't mean that they might still give you a line of credit and you can use it really for however you want to. Pay your salaries and stuff in some cases, but have an idea of how you would use that money. Because the last thing a lender wants to do is give you a line of credit, say for $1 million. And at the end of the year, you've only used $200,000. What happens is the lender has $800,000 of unused money that he has to commit to you. So when a bank or a lender makes a loan commitment based on a line of credit, they want you to kind of use it. So just make sure you kind of understand that, because that's money they could have loaned to somebody else and made their interest income. So just be aware of that. But if you're looking to buy a truck or something like that, that's a pretty easy stated purpose. The truck is a fixed loan, term loan. It's got, good collateral, especially if you put 10% down or something like that. That's equity kind of built in. So just be aware of how you're going to use the money, how you're going to use your loan proceeds. Next slide.
Hey, Nate, we've got a couple questions. Would you like to dive in a little bit?
I can take them, I guess. I can take them right now. I'll do that.
Okay. So we have one from Rose. If you have a small commercial property fully rented with income of $190K per year under an LLC, can you refinance the property with an SBA loan? If yes, what's the interest rate? Credit score is great.
Is that Ken? I mean, I could take it, but if it's so the owner is not operating out of that location, right? They just own the property as a renter, right? Or they rent it out. Is that kind of where we're going with this question?
That's my understanding. Rose, if you have any more context, you can leave.
SBA loan, they will not qualify for an SBA loan. Am I wrong on that, Kenneth? You just talk about a refinance of a property, because they go on, Ken. I think I might be a little.
For the SBA loan, this is it's not a business. You're just renting. You're just leasing out some property.
Yeah, that doesn't qualify for an SBA loan. But a conventional bank or another lender might be able to do it. That would be more of a conventional bank loan, though. And what was the other part of that question? What about the interest?
She was asking what the interest rate would be and was just letting us know that she has a good credit score. Credit score is great.
Well, let me just say this. Most regular commercial loans, and for that type purpose, they're pegged to certain, like could be a cost of funds, it could be a treasury bill rate. It varies.
Nate, I have some more context. The owner is occupying 25% of the property.
No, not for SBA, but they'd be okay for a conventional loan, especially if they got good credit. But let me go into that just a little bit. They really have to have, it depends on what their rent rolls are, who the renters are, who the clients are, and the lease income. Again, it comes down to cash flow, and I'm just thinking that I have my banker's hat on right now. if she gets good income from the property, yeah, she could probably qualify easily for a conventional commercial real estate loan from a bank. She doesn't have to occupy any part of it. So it would just be a conventional commercial real estate loan. I mean, they have finance companies and things like that out there too. Commercial real estate finance company, Caldwell Banker Ellis, I guess they're called now. They have a lot of different commercial real estate firms out there that do those kind of loans.
She had a quick part too. If the owner occupied over 50%, will the property be subject to an SBA loan?
Yes, that would qualify. If she occupied more than 50%, yeah. 51%, I think is
51%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to add some context around this in terms of, what situation qualifies for SBA versus not. From SBA's perspective, the SBA loan programs are really geared for the benefit of the business and the business owner as operators. Because really the idea is to support job growth, job development, support growth of that business. Properties that are considered to be investment properties, that less than 51% owner occupied or not occupied, just owned as an investment, really don't fall within the objectives of SBA. SBA is really not in the business of trying to support investors, but really operators and business owners. That's really the distinction.
Thanks, Sasha.
Great job, Sasha.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you want to do one more?
I'll take one more. I know we're gonna
Okay.
be doing them at the end, but that's fine. Go on.
Okay, one more from Sheila. We're in the process of completing a packaging project for our product. We sell cookie gifts. We currently use stock boxes, but we need to elevate our packaging for business opportunities. Are loans available for a packaging project?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely, they are. That's part of the process of getting your shipping and all those things relative to inventory. Yes, absolutely. That's a operating capital or depending upon how they cost it out, it might be a cost of goods, funding loan. So that's fine.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much, Nate. And just a quick note, if you all want to have more in-depth conversations with either Sasha or Nate, or even Mr. Crawford, please be sure to put your contact into the chat, or you can also just add it to the Q&A and I'll grab it there so we can get you all connected. Nate, go ahead.
Okay, so the next slide will be, where do I go get a loan? Okay, well, depending upon what your need is and knowing where your credit score is and things like that, that's kind of going to determine that. Most lenders, most conventional loan lenders are looking probably for credit scores in the 650 and above range. So if you've got some issues on your credit and that needs to be corrected, you're probably going to be with a nonprofit or a CDFI, the ones that Sasha had talked about earlier. The lender that offers the best fit for your situation, that depends on what the purpose of the loan is and how you plan to use the loan proceeds. I mean, they got equipment finance companies. They've got, like we talked about, commercial real estate companies. So depending upon how you're going to use the money, but most thinking about conventional loans, some lenders prefer lending to certain industries. Some prefer lending to the entertainment industry. Some prefer lending to the garment industry. So there are lenders for a variety of different uses and businesses. But determining which one is best for you, I always tell people, first place you go, whenever you're thinking about a business loan, go to your bank. Go talk to your bank first, find out what they can offer to you, and if they can help you, if they're willing to. Because if you have to go like to another lender per se, if it's a bank, a lot of times that bank's going to want you to transfer all your business relationships and maybe your personal relationships. But then there are nonprofit lenders out there. They could be the right choice for you as well. And depending upon what the need is, like the terms you might be looking for and things like that, those can vary. But that's where the SBDC comes in handy. But do you need to personally invest in the business? We talked about the injections earlier. 20% is a standard minimum. Yeah, so you should be prepared to do that. You should be prepared to invest some of your money in the business. And how fast can you get a loan? That kind of varies. There's fintech advice, business loans that can probably get you a loan within 3 days, but it could be very expensive. It could be very expensive. But most traditional loans, I would say 4 to 6 weeks. Even for nonprofit lenders, you got to be prepared. That's why planning is very important. You need to start planning your funding options, exploring your funding options before you hit that critical period where you need the money like yesterday, which is what we hear a lot of times. So planning is very important, but you should probably think 4 to 6 weeks, especially with the SBA guarantee. I know you might hear a lot of times people can move the process along a lot faster, but it's where the underwriting, it takes a lot of the time. The credit underwriting process takes a lot of time, verifying that you're a legitimate business, getting verifications and confirmation from the Secretary of State. So sometimes the lender is subject to these outside agencies that kind of delay the process. Although they might be able to get you the thing is to look for a letter of interest or expression of interest letter that a bank can normally turn around within a week, or a lender could turn around within a week. I apologize, people, because I'm an ex-banker, so I say banks first a lot. But a lender should be able to turn around an expression of interest letter to you within a week. And if you submit all that information that we talked about on those previous pages, requirements for a loan, the lender can make a quick decision just by looking at your credit score, your financial statements, maybe looking at an executive summary. They can probably tell you whether they're going to extend you a letter of interest which kind of summarizes the terms and conditions of a proposed loan to you within a week. They should be able to do that. And I think with that, I'm going to throw it back to Sasha, I believe, for a summary. Sasha?
All right. Well, I'm going to try to move through this quickly so we have some time left for more questions. So just recapping very, very briefly, hopefully everyone got a sense that there is a very wide range of types of loan programs available. And as we were mentioning earlier, kind of the concept of in SBA terms, sort of the ladder that addresses needs for an early stage business versus a more mature business versus a fully mature growth business. There's a loan program that is intended to fit each of those stages and a variety of needs. There are a wide range of lenders. So, if you went to your bank, which is where we always suggest you start, and let's say your bank declined your request, is that the end of the road for you? No, that's actually the beginning. There are other options available, and really that is part of the role of the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, is to help you navigate. We'll try to understand your situation. Where do you come in relative to, as Nate was alluding to, the 5 C's of credit, and then we will help you at each step of the way through the application process. If you're looking for help to develop a business plan, we will help you there. Financial projections, absolutely help you there. So we're with you really from start to finish. The common thread, lenders, the different lenders that are out there, whether they're banks, credit unions, small business lending corporations, mission-based lenders like certified development companies, and CDFIs, community development financial institutions, which are mission-based nonprofit lenders. Each of them has a particular area that they focus on. The mission-based lenders are looking to fill gaps, again, in the market. So whether it's an underserved segment of business that's, let's say, a minority-owned business, woman-owned, startup business, veteran-owned. So mission-based lenders exist to fill gaps, and they will have somewhat different criteria that they emphasize. So, for example, collateral. You may not have a ton of collateral. That does not preclude you from getting a loan. It just means that there are going to have to be other factors that we can bring to light for the lender to give them the confidence in repayment ability, which is really the bottom line. Repayment ability is what every lender is looking to understand, and that may be based on historical actuals, based on your tax returns and cash flow. based on historical, or if you're a newer business, or if you've had, let's say, a hiccup along the way, whether it's COVID related or some other situation, that's where the financial projections come in. It's really about trying to demonstrate repayment ability for that lender. Again, encourage you to reach out. Your local SBDC center is in Pasadena, the Pasadena City College. Nate and I are always available for any kind of questions to help you navigate. This is our contact information. And again, we'll make this presentation available to all of you who would like to have a copy. For the few minutes we have, we'll open it up to any remaining questions.
All right, Sasha, let's do it. I have a couple of questions related to startups. Is there any funding available for startups?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, there is funding available for startups.
Just to add real quick, as one quick example, microloans, 0 to 50, typically 10 to 50,000 as a range, a dollar range, very oftentimes are oriented towards startups. The Community Advantage 7A program offered by mission-based lenders goes from 50 to 350. Now that's a larger dollar amount, so that means that there need to be other factors like collateral, maybe a secondary source of income from a spouse, et cetera. So as you go up in the dollar amounts, there are other factors that have to be looked at. Certainly management background, history, if you are someone who is starting up, coming out of a role that you played in a particular industry and you're looking to start a new business in that industry, then that's going to work in your favor, as opposed to it's a completely new industry that you have no experience in. So it's, again, 5 C's, experience really counts.
Thank you both. Irina says, in terms of marketing analysis, is there a good resource where we can see what to do about that? For example, what would be good to see what specifically we need in detail in a business plan? And I'm assuming as it relates to funding.
Well, I would just say, first of all, you have to know who your customer is. Okay. Know who your competition is. Make sure you understand what advantages you might have over your competition. I think they do what is called a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and what's the last P? Yeah. So that is something that the SBDC can help you do. Again, we do have resources that we can share with you.
Nate, to that point, there is a follow-up. I'm sorry, Sasha. Someone, Arthur, is asking for a list of lenders in their preferred or business types that they lend to. Is that something that?
I wish I could generate a list like that, because that changes. I mean, it changes with the management, with the character of the industry. I might love restaurants, but after COVID, I know we're no longer doing that. So banks or lenders have a tolerance for certain industries, but there really is no list that I could provide you, or I think that they would make available to the public to let them know what their sweet spot is, because they don't want to get an overabundance of applications. We're getting all real estate commercial deals. Every bank loves to do real estate secured transactions. I can tell you that. So if you kind of like own a house, and you could be that didn't really improve your chance to probably get credit, because you will probably be a good personal guarantor for your business. But it's kind of rare to find a list of that. Say US Bank, good small bank, good reputation, solid for helping. They used to do a lot of startup businesses. I don't think they're doing as many anymore because of the risk. But some banks have reputations for doing those kind of things. I would rather talk to you more one-on-one about that, as opposed to like sharing a list that I might send you somewhere where they don't even entertain that type of industry anymore. It just changes. City National Bank, always been a good bank for the entertainment industry. So I'm basing this on my experience in dealing with those banks and things. But sometimes they change.
I just wanted to, if we could pause a second on the Q&A, just to be mindful of everyone's time because we are at 11 o'clock. I don't know, Supervisor Gonzalez, did you want to come on and do the close? And Sasha and Nate, are you available to continue?
I have to actually bail. I do have
Okay.
11 o'clock appointment, but I can, a few more minutes. I have no problem with that, but just a few.
Okay, great. And then I also want to direct everyone to the chat. I've left my email address. Please, if you'd like copies of the presentation, go ahead and send me a note and I'll be sure that you receive that. And for those of you who are looking to set up meetings with either Sasha or Nate, please put your information into the chat. You can message host and panelist without messaging the entire group. Thank you so much. Supervisor Gonzalez.
Had to unmute myself. Thank you, Lauren. On behalf of the City of Glendale's Economic Development Division, I would like to thank our presenters, Kenneth, Sasha, and Nate, for sharing just a tiny portion of their knowledge on such an important topic of interest. I highly encourage you to reach out to them. They would be able to go into greater depth regarding some of the questions you have today. Once again, I encourage you to visit chooseglendaleca.com for more information about all the exciting events going on this week, including another webinar this afternoon at 2 p.m. It's Certified Like a Boss, on small business certifications. I want to thank everyone at SBDC for their support and organizing this webinar. Lauren, Christina, Kristen, and Ted Hyatt, who introduced me to all these amazing folks. And to you, our participants, thank you for joining us. And really reach out to your SBDC. They are awesome and they're here to help you grow and support you in all your efforts. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. For those of you who would like to continue, go ahead and stay on. And I will kick it over to both to Sasha to answer a few more questions, to Mr. Crawford as well as Supervisor Gonzalez. Thank you so very much for allowing us to participate with you. And for Christina, thank you so much for your assistance as well. Sasha, you want to dive in a little bit more into the questions?
Yeah, sure thing. So are we, did we conclude this last question? I don't know if that was a sufficient answer. I think the question about a list, again, I think kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier, which is we have a wide range of lenders and various kinds of loan programs. And even within a given loan program, there are different lenders that have different credit criteria. So there, for example, for the SBA-backed programs, there are some very specific requirements that are set out in federal regulation. And so those are what we refer to as eligibility criteria. And so those are going to be consistent depending on the program and depending on the particular application. However, within that, there may be variation even from lender to lender. So for example, let's take the SBA 504 loan program, which is used for owner-occupied commercial real estate. We have participating banks that work with a certified development company together. There are two loans that come together. The banks that participate, they have a portfolio of real estate. And so there may come a point where their portfolio risk, as they have to evaluate that risk, they may need to maybe take a pause on hotel deals, or maybe they need to they're interested in growing a particular segment. So there are going to be variations within that. So it's very, very hard. And I just think it's not a very practical thing to just have a list that says at any point in time, here's what every lender what their sort of appetite is for every situation. So that's why we always recommend start with us with the SBDC. We can assess your situation, what stage of business you're at, what your sort of financial history is like. How do you match up in terms of the 5 C's, in particular the credit score, and then we can, and what is the need, what is the dollar amount, and then we can kind of help you navigate from there. And we will make introductions to lenders. We just need to do a little bit of filtering and understand sort of the context so that we can help you basically waste time, because what can happen is you start going down a list, it's going to take you a whole lot of time and you may not get the result you want.
Thank you for that, Sasha. We have another question from Alicia. Can nonprofit organizations receive a microloan?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Short answer, I believe yes. There are many loan programs that are geared towards for-profit. So for example, the Community Advantage Program, which is from 50 to 350,000. One of the requirements is must be a for-profit. However, there are some programs that some of the, particularly the mission-based lenders offer. So again, contact us and we can understand your situation and then see what sort of program may fit. There may also be loan programs, and we didn't talk about it too much, but there may be local lenders and loan programs that come out of, let's say, a county-wide program or a city-wide program that are intended to promote economic development. And some of those may actually allow for a loan to a nonprofit.
Perfect. To that point, we have the EOG, or the Economic Opportunity Grant Program, that's going on right now. It closes this week on the 20th. I will pop in the URL to that so that nonprofits as well as for-profits, can seek more information there. Sasha, we have another one. So Roman says, I think Roman is looking for requirements for a startup loan. And if that's too involved, we can definitely try to get, Roman a session with you all.
Sure, I can give just a very kind of a quick answer, but again, every startup is going to be a little different. So I would say a couple of things to be thinking about if you're looking for financing. Some experienced lenders and funders will advise you that well, first of all, you really need to have a business plan, and as part of that business plan, you need to have financial projections. That's absolutely critical. And within that, the business plan, as Nate was mentioning earlier, really that is as much for the benefit of the entrepreneur as it is for any lender. But within that, that's going to address sort of what is the opportunity, what are the actual actions and initiatives that are going to be taking place to support the growth that's being projected in those financial projections. And then coming out of that are going to be really a series of questions which have to do with, does the entrepreneur have experience in that industry, in that business? Because if you have experience, let's say you've worked in that industry for a period of time, maybe for another company as an employee, and you're looking to start a business, then you're coming into that situation with a level of experience that's going to reduce the amount of risk that might be there for a lender. If you're looking to start a beer company and you have no experience at all, with that business, with the beverage industry, then that's going to be a higher risk situation, which is going to be a factor for any type of a lender. And many lenders and entrepreneurs will advise people to try to look at the equity side first. See if you can get investors who can put money in with the expectation that you're for a period of time are going to be most likely cash flow negative, and until you get to cash flow break even, going the equity route versus debt may be worth considering. So again, talk to us. We can assess the situation and provide some recommendations and introductions.
Thank you so much, Sasha. You have already touched on this, I do believe, but Kareem says, what loan programs are available for startups needing funds to lease space?
Yeah, that's a good question. So leasing space is really one of the sort of areas of need in terms of expenses. And so in a sense, it's similar answer in that, as Nate was alluding to, really when applying for a loan, if you talk to old-time bankers, they'll typically say there are three questions that you need to be able to answer, which is, how much, what's the dollar amount? Number two, what is going to be used for? And that could include rent as well as other operating expenses that are going to be there. And then question number three is, how do you intend to pay it back? And so that's where the financial projections come in, and the business plan is to show that this is a startup business. We have a plan to get from A to B, and in doing so, we'll be able to support that debt service that's going to be there. So, again, they all come back to the kind of the same starting point, which is the business plan, financial projections. That's where the SBDC is your partner and resource in helping you develop those. We have tools, we have templates, we can provide feedback in the process. And rent absolutely is going to be one of those areas of use of funds, as Nate was alluding to earlier.
Thanks, Sasha. So we have a two-parter. Can I get a loan for day trading? I need about 20K. I have 10K on hand. Part two, total requirements is 30K. 20K loan and 10K on hand.
Yeah, and this really comes back to the earlier point we made, which is SBA and SBA programs are really oriented around owner operators and an actual business that is not a passive business. So investing is really considered to be a passive business. So it really doesn't fit within the sphere of the type of lending that we're talking about today. So there may be other facilities out there, but those really don't fall within the world of SBA and other related economic development programs.
Thank you, Sasha. We have two more, a little bit more involved, so bear with me. One from Kathy. Unique situation, inherited a business from a passing owner recently. In business for over 70 years. Two VPs now own, working 34 and 25 years there respectively. Woman owned looks like. What is the best course? They want to keep the small business woman owned and now add minority owned. What is the best course? Looking for advice. Would also like to get more information on SBA loans. Looking to take care of delivery truck hiring. Debt from company is greater than expected. So it's a little involved, but I wasn't sure if you wanted to shed some light on the SBA loan portion, whatever you got.
Sure thing. So it sounds like there's a transfer of ownership of the business. I didn't hear whether there's an actual purchase of that interest, or when we say inherited, I don't know if it's just really continuing without any sort of purchase amount, so to speak. I think the starting point would be, what is the objective going forward? What is this entrepreneur looking to do with the business? Is it a matter of, continuing it? Is it a situation where the business as it stands today has some challenges from a cash flow standpoint, or is it a scenario where, hey, this has been a business and it's been around for a number of years, but there's all this opportunity out there to grow it. And now there's going to be a need for capital to help support that growth. So really the starting point is, what is the situation? And this is again where the SBDC can help kind of assess what is the situation, what is the entrepreneur looking to do going forward with the business. And then in terms of the existing debt, what we talked about earlier was financial projections and then ultimately sort of a cash flow analysis. That's really what the lender is going to be doing. They will ultimately take whether it's historical financials that where there's particular operating cash flow, or let's say we're in an expansion mode, so it's the future is going to look different than the past. So now we want to translate that into financial projections. And what the lender will do is the lender, again, looking for repayment ability for the new loan. So they're going to take those financial projections, they're going to translate those into cash flow for a period of time, let's say prospectively for the next 24 months to maybe 3 years. And they will take whatever existing debt is there and layer that in and look at the entire picture altogether. And that's why when we do financial projections and we do a cash flow analysis, we also look for existing debt. What are the existing obligations that are there? And those need to be factored in as well. And so that's the kind of analysis that takes place. And ultimately, if the objective is to secure an SBA loan, for example, there's the SBA 7A loan program, which is a general purpose program. It can be used for working capital, equipment, let's say adding employees. Again, it'll come back to the financial projections, and then within that, a cash flow analysis that will take into account existing debt.
Thank you, Sasha. That was awesome. There are a few more questions, follow-ups that came through, but I believe you've addressed those as well. So thank you for that.
Sure.
And then we'll go on to Ed's for our last question. So Ed is currently in a community center teaching martial arts, was a leased space, and now he doesn't have the greatest credit, because of COVID-19, excuse me. I'd like to move into a traditional commercial property, but looking for help getting back to that point. Please provide information on microloan, mission-based nonprofit lender. And then he also provided contact so that we can do a follow-up. But I wondered if, in case there are other, who are experiencing something similar, mission-based nonprofit lender.
Sure thing. So there are quite a few of them out there. And again, we were kind of talking earlier about different lenders have different criteria. So there may be a lender that, let's say, is orienting around, and I don't know where this business is located, but let's say it's in a particular city. One of the things we would be looking at at the SBDC is to understand, of course, the overall situation and understand the financial history based on the tax returns, looking at if we need to look prospectively. Let's say there have been some hiccups because of COVID. What does the picture look like going forward based on the financial projections that we develop? Then the question would be, is there a mission-based lender that is operating in that locale, whether it's at the county, city, or state level? There are organizations called Community Development Financial Institutions, or CDFIs. They are sort of chartered under the U.S. Treasury as opposed to SBA, but many of them provide microloans up to $50,000. There are within the SBA sphere certified development companies, or CDCs, that several of which provide microloans as well. And there are some other organizations out there, certainly. So again, it's kind of a wide field, and the way we narrow that field is to try to understand the specific situation, the need, the location, et cetera. And then we can start to, filter which lenders do we think would entertain a request, which ones do we think, for whatever reason, whether it's lack of collateral or credit score, would not be most likely interested. And so that way we can kind of save time and focus on those that we think have the best offer the best opportunity.
Amazing. Guess what? We've done it. We made it through all the questions.
Great questions today. Great questions.
They were good. Just quick follow-up. I did add in that EOG link, Sasha, so people can take
That's
a look
great.
at that.
That's a great program. Consider.
Thank you. I also see that Supervisor Gonzalez, I see your link in here as well in the chat. Certify Like a Boss webinar today at 2. Yes, today at 2. And then just wanted to direct everyone to the chat one more time. There's a link to the SBA offices here in Los Angeles, as well as if you would like to receive a copy of the presentation. Understand that there will be a link to the recording that gets sent out following this session. But if you would like to receive the presentation itself, go ahead and shoot me an email. My email's in the chat and we will get that over to you. I don't know, last words, gentlemen. Thank you so much for today. It's been awesome.
Awesome. Thank everybody.
Yeah, thanks to everyone for participating. And yeah, again, we're out there as a resource. Please don't hesitate to take advantage. That's what the SBDC network is for. And we work with the city, we work with lender partners and other organizations. So we're always available to assist.
And Lauren,
Thank you, Lauren, for moderating today. Really appreciate it.
Oh, you all are welcome. My pleasure.
You weren't. But Lauren, for those who have EIDL loan questions, you can put my information there and maybe I can assist them with whatever problem they have.
Perfect. So I'll hang back just a couple of seconds. You all go ahead. I know you're very, very busy, but I'll hang back with just so that everyone can collect all the information out of the chat. But thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. All right, everyone, bear with me. I'm going to drop in Mr. Crawford's contact information for you. And just as a reminder, he mentioned that if you have any EIDL questions, go ahead and shoot him an email. Let's see, almost there, sorry. All right, there it is. His email address is in the chat. Oh, Ed, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Today was awesome. And you guys hung back with us. Man, thank you. Sorry, we went a little bit over. We just wanted to be sure we got you all the information we could. All right, everyone, have an amazing day, remainder of the week, and we will see you next time. Don't forget, we're a free resource. Be sure to reach out. Thanks so much and take care. Bye-bye.